Happy Wednesday, Seahawks fans. Welcome in to this live edition of Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for spending part of your afternoon with us. Got a loaded show on tap. We'll catch you up to speed on the latest news and rumors on your Seattle Seahawks coming up in just a matter of moments. Also, we'll preview Sunday's game between the Seahawks and the Steelers. I got 5 burning questions to go over. And we'll answer your rumors mailbag questions. Use hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat to get on the mailbag portion of the show. $ next to the chat box if you would like to contribute. As you guys file in, shout out your city. We'll shout you out as we get this show on the road here on this Wednesday. Thanks for spending your day with us. We got plenty to discuss on today's show. Already seen Peter in the chat saying go Hawks. I got Beta YT saying what's up. Beta. Merry Christmas, happy holidays to you. Hope you had a good one, man. T&G Zach asking about if we heard the Russell Wilson news. Oh, we did hear the Russell Wilson news. You better believe it. If that wasn't the final evidence we needed that the Seahawks won the Russell Wilson trade, there it is right there. So that was wild. Good to see you. And Beta YT also checking in the chat as well. This is our build-up portion of the show where we encourage you guys to get in that chat and interact with us as we get this thing started. And with Smitty on a little family vacation, he's seeing his folks up in New York for the Christmas holiday, making his triumphant return to Seahawks today. Trizzy Hawks!
C!
Hawks!
C!
Hawks!
What up, 12s? Glad to be back finally. It's
Trizzy,
been too long.
Good to see you. Merry Christmas, happy holidays to you. How are you feeling, my guy?
Dude, I'm feeling good. I'm glad to be hanging out with the Seattle Seahawks fans. I'm glad to be hanging out with my guy, Tyler Jones. I'm glad to just be hanging out with a winning group of people today.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it feels good to be hanging out with some winners.
Well, Trace is a winner, and so he had to be with us, the winners here at Seahawks Today, spending his Wednesday with us. But we appreciate him stepping in for Smitty. Smitty will be back in time coming up this weekend, but Trace will hold things down today. And we got so much to talk about. People asking about that Russell Wilson news. I know that we were all in the office when that news broke earlier today. Mm-hmm. I got to say, I think that's a bad move on the Broncos' part. They're still in contention, already giving up like that?
Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. Like Sean Payton saying, "Oh, we're gonna go around and we're just gonna like see how things pan out and what." And it's like, dude, you traded away the farm to get this guy, and now you're gonna bench him? Like, it makes literally no sense. It makes no sense. Clearly, Sean Payton just can't stand Russell Wilson. Yeah,
we haven't got to the Super Chat menu yet, but we already have a Super Chat coming in, our first one of the afternoon. Shane with a $5 Super Chat says, should the Seahawks finish the season with Drew Lock? I think he looked more exciting than Geno. I don't think so. Geno still gives you your best chance to win. He is the better of the two quarterbacks. Unlike the Denver Broncos, you are trying to make the postseason, and Geno's your guy, and we've seen that. I know that Drew had that nice game against Philadelphia, but before that, he had not played that great. Geno's more consistent. He's the better quarterback. That's the guy you roll with. No reason to bench Geno Smith, and he played well this past week. So, no, I don't see any reason why you should do that. I'm rolling with Geno at this point. We're not the Denver Broncos, Trizzy.
No, and what I will say is it's like Drew Lock, he was fun in that game, and it was exciting. Right? Like, he had some good moments, but it's like the good moment, like we've seen it with Tommy DeVito, seen it with Joshua Dobbs, we've seen it with so many other guys this season. It's just like, go with the consistency. That's what's going to get you the wins. That's what's going to take you to the big dance. Don't be flip-flopping, going quarterback changes this late in the season.
No. We're going to be talking about Baker Mayfield today as we get a new report from Mike Florio that we'll get to in a bit, suggesting the Seahawks could be pursuing Baker Mayfield. So far, the votes that have come in, 51% of you say no, they should not sign Baker. 49% say yes. What about the Seahawks' chances of making the playoffs? Weigh in that comment section right now. White for yes, in for no. Our playoff odds video that we put out yesterday, we went over those numbers, and the Seahawks, their chances of making the postseason are pretty good right now. They're plus 50%, but obviously you still got to win one, if not both, of the next two following games. What do you guys think? Why for yes, in for no? Nelson says yes. Apollo saying yes. Beta YT saying yes. Got Aaron asking where's Smitty. Smitty's got the day off. He's with his family. He'll be back coming up for the watch party on Sunday. But don't worry. I know Beta said Smitty abandoned him. Smitty will be back. Don't worry. We're glad to have Trace here with us, holding things down. Will the Seahawks make the playoffs? We'll get to the ad read here in just one moment. Trizzy, real quick, weigh in here. You think? I think the Seahawks get in. I think they'll win out these next two games, but I could see these next 2 weeks being very close games, making it interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the Seahawks are going to find themselves playing football for the next few weeks. Yeah. I don't think it's 2 or 3 weeks. I think they got at least 3-4 games left in them because this is a good football team, playmakers all over the place, and I want to see them do some damage.
Yeah. Let's see. Aaron says yes. TNG Zach says yes. Chris says no. Charlie says yes. Today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the place to go for daily fantasy made easy. Choose 2 or more players in any given category. Get the choice of more or less, whether you're talking passing yards, fantasy points, receiving yards, all sorts of stuff to choose from with Prize Picks. And we are offering a $100 deposit match on your first entry. Use promo code CLNS. The link is going in the chat right now. And here's what I got on Prize Picks. I'm mixing things up with a little NFL and college football this week. We're going to be live on the channel for both these games, actually. The Seahawks taking on the Steelers on Sunday. I got DK to have more than 58.5 receiving yards. That put him at over 1,000 for the year. And Michael Penix, I have him reaching more than 2.5 passing, rushing, or receiving touchdowns in the All-State Sugar Bowl coming up on Monday night against Texas. If both those hit, let's say I put $20 down, I can make $60 on Prize Picks. You can too. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Promo code CLNS to play along today. Prize Picks, proud partner of Seahawks Today and Chat Sports. Link going in the chat right now. Seahawks and Steelers coming up this weekend. We mentioned we'll be live for this one. A tough game. Both teams trying to make the postseason. Both teams at 8-7 here. I'm going to do a game preview. I'll give my official prediction in just a few moments, but want to hear from you guys first. Who wins? What's the final score going to be? Weigh in the chat. We'll shout you out with your predictions for Sunday's game. Trizzy, this one is going to be a lot of fun, I think. I think this has the makings of a game that goes right down to the wire once again. The Seahawks have had back-to-back comeback wins the last 2 weeks where they've won by a final score of 20-17 in each of the last 2 games. If the trend continues, then I might as well just go ahead and pick the Seahawks win 20-17 again.
Absolutely. I'm going to go crazy here. I'm going to take Seahawks 24-13.
Okay.
I'm thinking that the Seahawks defense shows up, has a good day. I don't think that George Pickens, Mason Rudolph, I don't think they're going to make anything happen. Maybe they'll go score one. You can maybe get one out of Pickens, but the Seahawks just have so much more talent, so many more weapons. I think it's going to be a bloodbath. Give me the Seahawks.
Apollo says Seahawks 20-17. Imagine
that.
Beta YT says I'm going to go 21-20. We score in the last 2 minutes again. Could you imagine? Charlie says Hawks 28-17. So far, all the chat likes the Hawks to get a win. We will preview that game coming up in just a moment. Now, here's what I want to do. I want to do a little roll call here. I want to get all the S's in the chat. This is a rallying cry on Sundays, and I want this to be kind of a warm-up of sorts. If you're ready for a Seahawks win, if you're excited for Sunday, let's go ahead and start the pep rally right now. Spam S in the chat. I'm putting a minute on the clock. I want to see as many S's as we can over this next minute. Trizzy is going to shout out everybody that's spamming S in the chat, and let's see who's going to be the early MVP on today's show. Trizzy, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, one, go!
Apollo. I got Avir. I got Brian. I got Pablo. Daniel giving a score prediction. Chris, the Canto Kid. Charlie Pierce. Bobby Pingree, the Canto Kid. Beta YT. Scheiden. Chris, Beta, the Canto Kid. Pablo, Beta, Man Lazy. Man, I am lazy. Chris, Scheiden, Jonathan, Beta, Brian, Beta, Apollo, Chris, Scheiden, Cohen, Man Lazy, Aaron, Brian, Scheiden, Apollo, Man. Keep going. Faster, 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 faster.
15 seconds.
U-Haul. Keep going. Beta,
Finish strong.
Chris, Aaron, U-Haul, Man, Aaron, Scheider, Chris, Beta. Who's the common MVP? Who wants to be the MVP?
5 seconds left.
Come on, faster, faster, faster. Charlie, Cohen, Aaron, U-Haul, Beta,
Nice
Noble.
work.
Love it.
Good stuff. Good stuff. We haven't even got the super chat menu. We already got several super chats flowing. And a $2 super chat from Taker610 says, how do you guys like Bo Nix in the first round? Trezzy, you and I are big college football fans. We have seen a lot of Bo Nix over the years.
Yep.
Dating back to his days at Oregon, now most recently with the starting with Auburn, now most recently with the Oregon Ducks. And I know that he played really well the last couple of years with Oregon. I'm not taking away from that. But I still can't get the image out of my head of what we saw of the inconsistent version of him at Auburn. I think that as the National Football League gets tougher and everything, compared to you take that next step, I can't ignore what happened early on in his career. Deep down, I still think he's that same quarterback, to be honest. I would stay away from Bo Nix myself.
Well, in college, he had this nickname, Pick Six Nix.
Yes.
It's hard to shake that. I'm just going to say, it's hard to shake that. I don't know if I'm a fan of Bo Nix. I don't think he's a bad football player, but just like TJ said, it was too inconsistent at Auburn, man. It just wasn't good enough. He had to transfer to go somewhere to be a little bit better. It happens, but I'm not a believer in Bo Nix, unfortunately.
No, and he went up against much easier defenses in the Pac-12 compared to what he saw in the SEC. Level of competition wasn't as good, so I think that was a big part of his success that he had with the Oregon Ducks. Not to mention, he was nearly, 26 years old by the time he got to Oregon? I mean,
when you can rent a car instead of having to take the team bus, you should probably be better than the 16 and 17-year-old, well, I guess the 17, 18-year-old kids that were at prom 6 months ago.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Got a first-time super chat from Landon. We'll answer this, then we'll pay off accordingly. I think we should give Matt Corral a shot. Matt Corral signed with the Patriots at one point. They ultimately ended up letting him go. And not to make light of his situation at all. Don't take this the wrong way, folks. There were some mental health concerns with Matt Corral that he had to go take a leave of absence and go seek treatment and such. Again, not making light of the situation at all, but I don't think that he is in a place to be relied upon on your roster right now.
Well, let alone, again, we're not making light of the situation. It's a mental health is a serious thing.
Very, very, yeah.
But I will say this. You're at the end of the season. You're at you can't lose. This isn't time. It's the same thing with Drew Lock. This isn't time to be trying new things out. This is go by the playbook. Do what has been working. Don't reinvent the wheel here. Also, Matt Corral famously threw 4 interceptions against my Arkansas Razorbacks.
He did.
Hudson Clark, white cornerback, 2 interceptions. It was crazy.
Yeah, Hudson Clark would be starting on the all-white team of the NFL squad. And I don't think he's in the league. Landon, though, Trizzy, I know that you're not here that often, but for first-time super chatters, we give them that Seahawks chant.
Oh, yeah.
So let's shout out Landon for Landon. Seahawks! 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 Let's go! Spam Landon. Spam Landon in the chat. Landon. Much appreciated. We'll pay that off accordingly. We'll get the super chat menu here in just a moment, but want to make sure you guys like the video. I'm at 35 likes right now. Not bad. Not bad start.
We could be doing better.
I need to get to at least 40 to start today's show. All that's I'm asking for is 4 more likes, and then we can get this thing officially off and rolling here on this Wednesday afternoon. Like the video. If you want to see Seahawks win this weekend, if you're excited to be spending your Wednesday with us, go ahead and hit that like button. We would appreciate it. Let's get to 40 likes, 5 more, and then we can officially start today's show. While I wait on those likes to come in, Here is what is on the Super Chat menu, as I will pay off a shot for Landon and his $10 Super Chat. I also owe Truth or Dare from the $5 Super Chat that came in earlier. So I'll take this shot, and then Trace, little truth serum. You ready for a truth? I got one for you.
Hit me with it.
Trizzy, tell me your favorite football memory of your playing days. This is a great. I already know this answer. It's a great story, but I want all the folks to know this. Since you mentioned about throwing interceptions, I figured this would be a good one.
So, back in high school, I was in a indoor flag football league with some of my friends during the spring. I grew up in DFW in Plano, Texas. Very short drive over to Allen, Texas, where Seahawks fans are familiar. Kyler Murray.
Yes.
He went to high school at Allen High School.
Yes.
He is a Texas high school football legend. However, so am I. In that, in said indoor flag football game, I got a pick 6 off of Kyler Murray. He's not good at football, and quite frankly, I own him. I own him.
You're his daddy.
I am his daddy. I own him, and quite frankly, I'm not getting him anything for Christmas this year. Yeah, I ain't getting him nothing for Christmas, or this year or next year.
So there's the legend, and as it's told, Tracy Trace, in case you're just joining us,
Kyler Murray.
Did pick off Kyler Murray in a flag football game.
The dude's not even good at football, man.
No,
he's not.
I mean, Tracy, what were you?
I was a
DB.
I was a linebacker because it was 7-on-7, and so you had like 2 safeties, a couple guys back, and then 2 guys in the middle.
Yeah.
And I was right in the middle, and he just tried to do a little floater. Didn't see me, I guess. I just stepped in, grabbed it, and took off. Man. And I outran Kyler Murray.
And it was such a big moment for Tris. He retired right there.
Exactly. At that moment, I was like, I'm hanging him up on top.
Yeah.
Hanging him up on top.
So folks, that's what you're paying for. Every $5 Super Chat, we'll play a little Truth or Dare and tell stories or do some shenanigans, whatever you guys got for $5 Super Chat. First time Super Chatter, you get the Seahawks chant. $10 Super Chat, we'll take a shot. $20, we're doing beer chugs. $100 gets you in the Emerald Club. That is our Seahawks Today Hall of Fame. And then if we get the $200 collectively as a unit in Super Chats, we will take down Das Boot, 3 beers in 1.
Woo!
We'll drink as fast as we can. We're already at $17 right now, so we're making progress. It can be done before the end of the show today. We'll see what happens. Beto writes in, by the way. He says, hey, Triz, can you tell him to make sure we beat them in Week 18? Tell Kyler to hop on Call of Duty again.
Yeah, so I'll hit him up. I'll text him and say, hey, your father is making a demand. Go play some video games, kid. Go not be prepared for this Week 18 matchup.
Yes. Seahawks might need to sign Trizzy for Week 18.
Mine as well. I mean, hey, I'll do it. I'll do it for $50 and a case of beer. We'll call it even. We'll call it even. I'm not going to go against the cap too much. $50 and a case of beer. Give me a call, Pete.
Yeah. I love it. Sign Trizzy. Today on Seahawks Today. Sign Trizzy. Here's what's coming up on today's show. Latest news and rumors on your Seattle Seahawks. We'll be talking about Baker Mayfield and the possibility of bringing him in to the fold. Also, we'll preview Sunday's matchup between your Seattle Seahawks and the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I have 5 burning questions on the minds of Seahawk fans everywhere. We'll examine those. We'll do a live Q&A mailbag at the end of the show as well. Hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat to get your questions in on today's show. We are all set, ready to go. Segment 1, news and rumors. We're talking Baker Mayfield right now here on Seahawks Today. Could Baker Mayfield be making his way to Seattle next year and joining the Seattle Seahawks? Welcome into this edition of Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here as we examine the possibility of bringing the Bake Show to Seattle as recommended by Pro Football Talk's Mike Florio, suggesting that Seattle could end up signing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback this offseason. We'll explore that possibility and more coming up in just a matter of moments. Before we do, on Sundays here on Seahawks Today, we spam us in the chat. That's our rallying cry to get the 12s fired up, to make our voices heard, to make sure they can hear us inside Lumen Field. We want to get you ready for Sunday. Spam S in the comments section if you want that Seahawks win. If you want to be heard loud and clear and do your part to get a Seahawks victory, spam S in the chat if you're ready for a Seahawks win. We'll get started with today's show. Mike Florio saying the following in his column this week in Pro Football Talk about Baker Mayfield. He has said he wants to stay in Tampa Bay. Other teams looking for a starter could disrupt that. Whether that's the Patriots or the Steelers, if they decide Kenny Pickett isn't the answer, or the Raiders, or the Broncos, if they move on from Russell Wilson, or the Vikings, if Kirk Cousins leaves, or the Seahawks, if they choose to move on from Geno Smith. Regardless, Mayfield likely will have more options in March 2024 than he had in March 2023, and that might not end up being enough to get the Buccaneers to apply the franchise tag. Now, I'll say this. If you were a follower of this show in the summer of 2022, then you very well know I love Baker Mayfield. I have a affinity for Baker. I've been a fan of his for a very, very long time, and I am so excited to see how successful that he's been with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this year. And I was more than open to the possibility of bringing him to Seattle last offseason. But now, nearly 2 years later, the future of this Seattle Seahawks franchise is not a Baker Mayfield. It's not a Geno Smith or a Drew Lock either. The direction this franchise needs to go is finding a young quarterback and building around a young quarterback. Now, Baker, I'll say this. They've been writing him off, and he's not writing back either, much like Geno Smith, right? Signed with the Bucs this offseason. He has been awesome. He'll probably be a Pro Bowl quarterback this year. After all the adversity he went through with the Rams and the Panthers and the Browns, even after leading to the Browns to the postseason for the first time since 1994, he has found ways to overcome those obstacles and still be competitive as one of the better quarterbacks in the league this year. He's thrown 26 touchdowns and interceptions. He's been a lot of fun to watch this year in an offense that's coached up by Dave Canales, who Seahawks fans are very familiar with, the former Seahawks quarterback coach calling the shots for the Buccaneers. He's been awesome this year. His numbers are much improved from what we saw in 2022 and what we saw prior to that in 2021. I loved what I saw from Baker Mayfield this season. But even with that said, with as much as I like what I've seen from Baker Mayfield, this doesn't make a ton of sense for where the Seahawks are at now. You're looking at Baker, according to the folks at Spotrac, getting probably his value right now is about a 2-year, $34 million deal. Now, that is significantly less than what Geno Smith is set to make, and you can move on from Geno after this season if you so choose, and it basically costs you nothing, but that's not, I think, what the future of this Seahawks team is looking at. What do you guys think? Y for yes, in for no. Should the Seahawks sign Baker Mayfield? It's our pinned comment today. Weigh in and tell me what you think. Got some numbers I want to show you here in just a second, but we'll want to hear from you guys first. Weigh in that comment section. Let me know. Today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the place to go for daily fantasy made easy. Here's how it works. You choose 2 or more players on any given category. You get the choice of more or less, whether you're talking fantasy points, passing yards, pass completions, rushing yards. Maybe you want to mix and match different leagues, whether it's the NFL, college football, NBA, and more. I'm doing a little double dose this weekend of your favorite teams, the Washington Huskies and the Seattle Seahawks. I got Michael Penix to have more than 2.5 passing, rushing, or receiving touchdowns in the All-State Sugar Bowl against the Texas Longhorns. And I got DK Metcalf to have more than 58.5 receiving yards this week, which would put him at over 1,000 for the year. Let's put $20 down on it. We're going to make $60 on Prize Picks. We've been doing pretty well on Prize Picks as of late, by the way. Promo code CLNS for $100 deposit match. Link is in the comments and description of today's video, prizepicks.com/CLNS. Now, when you compare Baker to Geno Smith, let's start out there. Mayfield is younger than Geno Smith. And so far in 2023, we have seen Mayfield play at a higher level than Geno Smith has. Geno's had a down year. Baker has had a very nice comeback year. And quite frankly, I would give him the Comeback Player of the Year award but it doesn't necessarily move the needle enough to say that, yes, I'm going to move on from Geno to go ahead and go to Baker Mayfield. You look at these statistics, and Baker's touchdown to interception ratio, we mentioned 26-8. Comparatively speaking, Geno's 17-9. Yardage, similar. Completion percentage, actually slightly higher for Geno as compared to Baker Mayfield. And both guys with similar paths, similar stories between the two of being written off and the way that they've emerged and had this second chapter as veterans. It's been really cool to see, but I just don't think that it's going to do enough necessarily. If you're the Seattle Seahawks and you're making a change, your pursuit is for that franchise quarterback. Baker is not that needle that you're looking to move all the way. Dave Canales, who's worked with both guys, both Geno Smith and Baker Mayfield, most recently with Baker in Tampa, Geno prior in Seattle, he had this to say about the two of them and how they compare. It really speaks to the character of those two guys, the belief in themselves, the belief in their abilities, the people around them who are speaking life into them. While I know some people might use negative narratives to help fuel them, I think that both of those guys are aware of those things, and so both have that real chip on their shoulder. You love having guys in that type of position who can handle that. Some guys can't handle that. That's part of it, but it's not the whole story. The whole story is the belief in themselves. So if, let's say, the Seahawks decide that they do want to go with a veteran and not with a younger quarterback, if it's down to one of these two, would you rather just go ahead and keep Geno, or would you rather go with the younger quarterback and go sign Baker Mayfield? Which guy would you like to roll with right now? Type B for Baker, type G for Geno. Let us know what you think. Which quarterback would you rather have? Weigh in that comment section. Let us know. We are bringing you daily Seattle Seahawks coverage here on the channel with news and rumors. We're doing our live shows on Wednesdays, watch parties every game day. We're doing our Q&A mailbags. And this weekend, we have not one, but two watch parties here on the channel. Not only are we going to be live for Seahawks and Steelers on Sunday, we are going to be live on Monday night for the All-State Sugar Bowl, the college football playoff semifinal between the Washington Huskies and the Texas Longhorns. Husky fans, I'm sure you're excited to see Michael Penix and company as they try to advance to the national championship game, taking on a very good Texas team led by Quinn Ewers. It's going to be a fun one. We're going to be live for it. We're going to be cheering on the Huskies together here on the channel. Join us coming up 8 o'clock Monday night for Washington and Texas. Also, Seahawks Steelers this weekend here on Seahawks Today. Subscribe now for free and join us for both of them. Now, for me, as we wrap up today, I think it's very important to say this point. The bottom line is this. If you're the Seattle Seahawks and you're thinking beyond this year, 2024, to infinity and beyond, there's too many good quarterbacks in this draft for the Seahawks to pass up on. I think the plan of what you've seen from Geno this year, although he has taken a step back from what we saw last year, I think your best point of action is to keep Geno around next year, but still go draft your quarterback of the future this year. When you're looking at this draft class, from the likes of Caleb Williams to Drake May, Michael Penix Jr., Shedeur Sanders potentially could be coming out, Jaden Daniels, J.J. McCarthy, Bo Nix, Quinn Ewers. I mean, there is a very good class here. I don't expect Caleb Williams and Drake May to be available when the Seahawks pick, but you look at that class and you can't pass this up. This is the best class we've seen in quite some time. We've seen what teams like the Chiefs did with Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes, or what the Green Bay Packers did with Aaron Rodgers, to now Jordan Love. The best plan of action is still to have your veteran, bring in your rookie, let them sit and mature accordingly until they're ready to take the reins. And the Seahawks are in the position where they can afford to do that. That is still your best plan, and I think that's what the Seahawks should do going forward. Of the quarterbacks in 2024, who do you like? Name a quarterback that you would like to see the Seahawks pick up in the 2024 draft. Let me know who that is, and we will see you next time right here on Seahawks Today. All right. Yasher with a $2 super chat. Checking in. Yasher, good to see you. Should we even make the playoffs. Hashtag Papa Jones. Yasher, good to see you. Been a minute, my guy, but welcome back to the show. As far as making the playoffs goes, here's the way I look at it, Trace. You know, we saw the Niners come back to life this past week. 5 interceptions that lost to Baltimore. The Cowboys haven't looked good the last couple of weeks. The Eagles came back down to earth. The NFC is wide open. I understand if you're looking at this Seahawks team and you may be saying to yourselves, yeah, they haven't played championship-level football this year. And that's true. But all you got to do is get in the tournament, and then you got a shot from there. I'm not saying the Seahawks are going to be winning the NFC, but I'd rather this team at least go out there and die trying, at least try to see if they have a chance before just throwing in the towel. I want to see them at least in the tournament. It is better to get in the tournament and lose in that wild card round rather than worrying about draft picks.
Absolutely.
For me, that your goal as a fan, you should want to see this team win.
Absolutely. And I'll give you the old March Madness adage of just survive in advance. All you have to do is just get in and survive that week, make it to the next week. Survive, make it to the next week. And then from there on, do that a few times, you're playing in football in February for a Lombardi trophy.
Yeah. So, yeah, sure, I get where you're coming from, but just got to have a shot, and that's what we're looking at for this Seahawks team is just having a shot to get there. That's the most important thing. Let's ask you now about quarterbacks in 2024. This draft class, we showed you some of the names there, some notable names that we're looking at for this Seahawks team. I got to tell you, it's a very fascinating class. I think it's the best class we've seen in years. Thank you. Who would you guys like to see the Seahawks draft in 2024? We mentioned Caleb Williams and Drake May not likely to be available when the Seahawks pick, but any of those other quarterbacks, and you know we're not sure if Shador's coming out or if Quinn Ewers is coming out or not. But Trace, I know that you're a Saints guy. You guys are in the same kind of similar position, looking at future quarterbacks and everything. This is just a year you just can't pass up on some of these guys that are out there.
Yeah, I mean, how often are you going to get some of the talent that you have and the amount of talent that you have in this draft? I mean, this may be a bad take here. I'm prepared for y'all to flame me. I wouldn't hate seeing Shador in a Seahawks uniform. It feels like there's a lot of good veteran leadership, and there's a lot of guys in there that'll help keep him focused on football, not all the extra stuff. So I think that, honestly, Seattle would be a good fit for Shador. It's just a matter of, like you said, whether or not he comes to the draft. Because, man, I think it would be cool to see him in a Seahawks uniform.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be great.
He'd look really good in it, too.
Checking in the chat, Aaron Bermuth says Bo Nix or J.J. McCarthy. Cohen says Penix has been getting carried by reserves. I don't know about that one. Vank88 says Penix will be a dud in the NFL. So some of the reaction there from the chat already checking in. So good to see you guys. Let's go back to the Super Chat menu, show you exactly what we got today. First-time Super Chatters, you get the Seahawks chant. $5 to play a little Truth or Dare. $10 to taking shots. $20 do a little beer chug. $100 gets you in the Emerald Club. That is our Seahawks Today Hall of Fame. And if we get $200 in Super Chats today, then we will take down the boot, or we'll drink 3 beers in one as quick as we can. We're close to $20 right now, so about just a little over $180 away from taking down Das Boot potentially on the show. Up next, game preview time. We will get you set for the Seahawks matchup coming up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll preview this game and tell you everything you need to know coming up in just a matter of moments here on the channel. Glad to have you with us. Wednesday afternoon, a live edition of Seahawks Today. Let's preview Sunday's game with Pittsburgh right now. Seahawks Today is sponsored by Manscaped. You can save 20% off and get free shipping when you go to manscaped.com and use the promo code Seahawks. Start saving today. We're going to tell you more about Manscaped and their fantastic products that keep us all clean coming up later on in the show. It is the biggest game of the year so far for your Seattle Seahawks as they take on the Pittsburgh Steelers in week number 17 in the National Football League. The Seahawks trying to keep their playoff hopes alive. They need this one badly. The Steelers, they need this one badly as well as they try to keep their playoff hopes alive in the AFC. The Seahawks come in with momentum. 2 straight wins, 2 straight comeback performances. But can they finish the job and get into the tournament? We'll see how they fare this week. Between now and Sunday, we are in a sub-battle with our Steelers channel, Jack Sperry and the gang, and they have passed up 40,000 subscribers. Congrats to them on that accomplishment. But I got to tell you, I don't want to just beat those nasty Steeler fans on the football field. I want to beat them off the football field as well and show why we have the best fans in the National Football League and not those stinky Steelers like Jack Sperry. In fact, he's sending a video with a little trash talk.
Seahawks fans, you guys remember how Super Bowl 40 ended up there at Ford Field. The Steelers kicked your ass, took home the Lombardi Trophy, and I think the same thing's going to happen this week. Season's on the line for the black and gold, and I think they're going to take the dub, and the Seahawks are going to once again take the L. And also, not just on the field, but also in this sub-battle, F the Seahawks, F Tyler Jones, and F the Seattle Seahawks.
We're not letting Spare Dog talk to us like that. Subscribe now to Seahawks Today. Let's win this sub-battle, and we'll get started with today's show. Let's begin with the playoff picture in the NFC. The Seahawks enter the weekend at 8-7, holding on to the final playoff spot in the NFC, with the Rams ahead of them at 8-7. The Seahawks, if they're going to get in the postseason, will either be the 7 or the 6 seed, one of the two. But they have a lot of teams right on their heels. The Vikings, Falcons, Packers, and Saints all at 7-8 at this point. Meanwhile, on the other side for the Pittsburgh Steelers, we mentioned their similar position. They have the same record as Seattle, but they are out of the postseason right now with the Colts having the tiebreaker for the final spot. They need this game badly if they're going to make the playoffs in the AFC. The injury report for both these teams. Let's start off with the Seahawks. Frank Clark got a little illness. He's questionable. Jamal Adams, haven't seen him in a couple of weeks with that knee issue. He's questionable. D. Eskridge with the ribs issue. Devin Witherspoon with the hip injury that he suffered against the Niners. He's questionable, as is Jordan Brooks with the ankle injury. He is questionable. Meanwhile, on the Steelers side of things, a couple notable names. Mika Fitzpatrick with the knee injury. He's questionable. And Kenny Pickett with the ankle injury. He's questionable. They've already announced that Mason Rudolph will get the start at quarterback and that Kenny Pickett will likely dress and be the number 2 quarterback potentially for the Pittsburgh Steelers there. For me, yes, there are some notable names for the Seahawks on that injury report when you're talking Devin Witherspoon and Jordan Brooks and those guys. I get all that. But it's not an excuse for the Seahawks not to be able to play through those said injuries and find a way to win. The Seahawks still have to find a way to get the job done one way or the other, and I think they can do that. If the Seahawks lose this week, it's not because somebody was out. That's not an excuse. The Seahawks still have a job to do. They still got to take care of business. Later on the show, I'll give you my prediction of how this game will play out, who I think wins, what the final score is going to be. But I want to hear from you guys first. Give me your prediction. Who wins? What's the final? Let us know in the comments section or pin comment today. Answer it. Let us know what you think. First off, in our keys to victory, let's begin with pressure on the quarterback. We mentioned Mason Rudolph getting the start for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And let's be frank, the Steelers' offense, for the most part, has been horrible this year. They have been a mess. They fired their OC, Matt Canada, a little over halfway through the season. And last week, they kind of showed some life for the first time with Mason Rudolph under center for that Steelers team, George Pickens and company. They were really cooking. If I'm the Seattle Seahawks, the best way to really attack this Pittsburgh Steelers team, and in particular Mason Rudolph, is by getting some pressure. Now, you don't have to necessarily swing your helmet at Mason Rudolph's head, but if you can get some pressure on him, get him under duress, that could make all the difference in the world. And for this Seahawks team, there's one guy in particular I'm looking at. It's Boye Mafe. We talked about it last week, that he needed to show up, that he was kind of on a milk carton of some sorts, right? He was missing like those kids that you see in your local neighborhood that they put on the milk carton, right? Well, last week he showed up and had 2 sacks. He ended the streak. He had, about 5 straight games prior to that without a sack. Now he's got 9 on the season, 15 QB hits, 9 tackles for loss. Watch out for Boye to step up to the plate once again. And here's what we're looking at as far as the matchup that the Seahawks have facing against Mason Rudolph. This is a guy that last week threw for nearly 300 yards in 2 touchdowns here. So can't let Mason get hot. He's proven that he can still play at a high level as far as that goes. Getting pressure will be key. It is a Sunday afternoon, and if you're like me, then you probably grew up going to church and mom and dad telling you, hey, it's Sunday. You got to bring your Sunday best and put your best foot forward. And if I'm Geno Smith and Seattle Seahawks, it's a Sunday afternoon. You're on the brink of making the postseason. You're playing a Steelers team that is very hungry themselves. I need the best version of Geno Smith we can possibly get. I need mistake-free football from Geno Smith. And I understand that's easier said than done, but the bottom line is this. This is basically a playoff game for the Seahawks here. And this Steelers defense is very stingy. This is a group that the reason why they've lost the games they've had and had the up-and-down season has not been because of the defense. This is one of the best defenses in the league. And the Seahawks have to do what they can. Geno Smith has to put his best foot forward and to give this team a chance. You don't want to give away any extra possessions and make things harder for yourselves because these two teams, I think on paper, are pretty evenly matched. Geno enters this Sunday with 17 touchdowns, 9 picks. But I'll say this. He comes into this week coming off a strong performance last week. He looked very good against Tennessee. If he plays like he did against Tennessee, I think that would be enough. Just mistake-free football, bring your best foot forward, and don't even make us think about Drew Lock. Don't remind us that Drew Lock is there waiting in the wings. What's your confidence level in Geno Smith right now? He was injured just a couple weeks ago. He did put together a come-from-behind win last week. What is your confidence level in the Seahawks quarterback? Weigh in that comment section. Let me know what you think. 1 through 10, how confident you're feeling about Geno at the moment. Today's show is sponsored by Manscaped. Step into 2024 with confidence thanks to Manscaped, where resolutions are met and hairs are neatly kept as the new year approaches. Why not make self-improvement a breeze by keeping your body well-groomed? Introducing Manscaped's Performance Package 5.0 Ultra, the ultimate all-inclusive kit designed to help you feel clean-cut and confident as you should. Featuring the Powerhouse Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra, this next-gen trimmer ensures precision and ease when tackling your toughest hairs. So kick off your 2024 with a trim above the rest and use code Seahawks at manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping. The Performance Package 5.0 Ultra is here, and let me tell you what this includes, folks. The bundle has the brand new Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra, the Weed Whacker 2.0 ear and nose hair trimmer, and the essential aftercare products like the Crop Soother Ball Aftershave Lotion, the Crop Preserver Anti-Chafing Ball Deodorant, and 2 free gifts. Look, nobody wants, stinky balls. Come on now. Do your girl a favor there. Get 20% off at free shipping with code Seahawks at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use code Seahawks. Happy New Year to your balls. Your girl will thank you later. Check out Manscaped today, proud partner of Seahawks Today. Back to our keys to victory for Seattle here. Winning the turnover battle. We talked about Geno and his best effort, right, of playing mistake-free. One of the things when I scout this Steelers team that I found fascinating, how well this team is when it comes to turnover margin. Every possession matters, right? And when it comes to takeaways, the Pittsburgh Steelers are as good as anybody. Think about this. The Steelers are ranked first in the NFL in turnover margin, 0.07. And giveaways per game, they're ranked second in the league at 0.9. This team will go after you. They find ways to get those extra possessions. Their defense, I used the word earlier, it is a stingy defense. The defense has been keeping them in games, and you cannot afford to make those mistakes. Think about this from the Seahawks team this year. Their turnover stats aren't terrible. They're in the top 11 in turnover margin and giveaways. But interceptions thrown, bottom half of the league. Takeaways, bottom half of the league. Seahawks have to win this turnover battle and cannot let this Pittsburgh Steelers team have any extra possessions with a chance to get back in this game. Number 4 on our keys to victory, finding an X factor. There's a couple of guys that come to mind, but for me, what I'm looking for in particular when it comes to finding an X factor is a guy that maybe isn't a playmaker every single week, but that can make the difference in a win or loss, that can put this Seahawks team over the top. For me, it doesn't even have to be an offensive player or a defensive player, just somebody that can step up and be that impact player that maybe we aren't expecting. A player to watch for me that's got my eye is Zach Charbonnet. The Seahawks' number 2 running back this year, his numbers, he's rushed for 428 yards and a touchdown. We've seen the flashes. He's had a few big plays here and there from time to time, right? But think about this. He hasn't had a game where he's rushed for 60 yards this season. Not one. And the last couple of weeks, his role has been limited of some sorts. He's only had 7 total touches in the last 2 weeks. A guy like Zach Charbonnet, for example, to me, could be the difference in what the Seahawks are looking for. And think about this. We talk about the run game, right? We have talked a lot about Kenneth Walker on this channel over the last several weeks, and Kenneth Walker's played some better football lately. But when it comes to this team as a whole rushing the football, they are undefeated this year. First in the league when as a team they rush for 100 yards on the ground. That doesn't say 100 yards with Kenneth Walker. That doesn't say 100 yards with Zach Charbonnet. Just collectively, when this team runs the football well, they win. And if Zach Charbonnet can be a part of that equation, can be that difference maker, the Seahawks will get the job done. More to come here on Seahawks Today in a moment, but first, who's a player that needs to step up for the Seattle Seahawks this week? I told you it's Charbonnet. He's the guy I'm watching for. Who's the guy you're watching for? Wait in that comment section. Let us know what you think. This weekend here on Seahawks Today, we have not one, but 2 watch parties ahead for the first time ever on the channel. As we are inching closer to 47,000 subscribers, we are less than 500 away from doing so. We're going to be live not just for Seahawks Steelers on Sunday, but also on Monday night for the All-State Sugar Bowl. New Year's night, your Washington Huskies taking on the Texas Longhorns, 2 of the top quarterback prospects in the 2024 draft. Michael Penix Jr. and Quinn Ewers square off with a spot in the college football playoff national title game on the line. Our coverage will begin on Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. You will not want to miss it. Washington and Texas, the All-State Sugar Bowl from New Orleans, live on Seahawks Today. We will see you then. One final note in our keys to victory for the Seahawks this week, feeding off the energy of the 12s. It's kind of a given, kind of for granted of sorts when we talk about the impact that the 12s have on Lumen Field and the energy that they bring each and every week. We know that when the Seahawks play at home, the 12s are going to bring it, that they provide such an incredible atmosphere that's as good as any atmosphere in the league. But if you're the Seattle Seahawks, we mentioned with this being basically a playoff game, you got to use it to your advantage. What good does home field advantage do to you if you're not using it accordingly? This might shock some people. A little bull stat for you here, folks. Since 2021, did you know the Seahawks' home record is 13-11? You got that crowd fired up every week. They're doing their part. And the Seahawks are barely above 500 the last 2 years. Not on my watch. That's got to change. You are 5-2 at home this season. So you do have that going for you. But come on. You got that home crowd. Get fired up. Use them to your advantage. And really just go after it. My prediction in just a moment, but first, we'll recap our keys to a Seahawks win. Pressure on the quarterback. Really go after Mason Rudolph. Got to get Geno's best effort. Win the turnover battle. Find an X factor. Zach Charbonnet, I'm looking at you. And feed off the energies of the 12s and the crowd. If the Seahawks do that, I think they win. Now, some of you are probably thinking, oh, yeah, Seahawks win 20-17 for the third week in a row, right? Not quite, but I do think the Seahawks win. I got a little more scoring than we've seen the last few weeks. I got Seattle in a close one, 24-20, and I'm not ruling out the possibility of the Seahawks do it in the final possession again. Another comeback victory. Why not, right? That's my prediction. What is your prediction? Predict the score in that comment section. Who wins? What's the final going to be? Weigh in and let us know. We will see you next time right here on Seahawks Today. Go Hawks. All right. Oh, all right. Folks, we are halfway home. We got our 5 burning questions up next. And then we will do our Q&A mailbag to follow after that. So stick around for that here on Seahawks Today. There is my prediction. I got the Seahawks 24-20 in what should be a very good game. I mean, Trace, there's some good games this week. This is as good as any this weekend.
Yeah, the slate this week is actually pretty crazy. There's a lot of games that are playoff implications. I mean, it feels like the playoffs for a lot of teams have already started. So I think you brought up a good point during that preview. There's going to be a lot of teams playing really hard. So a lot of good football, I think, will be played this weekend.
Yeah, for sure. 5 burning questions coming up next. Before we get to that, here's our Super Chat menu. If you want to take part, get involved in the show, want to be on our mailbag segment in just a bit, use hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat. First-time Super Chatters, you get the Seahawks chant. $5 Super Chat, we'll play a little Truth or Dare. $10 Super Chat, we'll take a shot. Got some Patron here. We'll go to the Patron zone. $20 Super Chat, we'll take down a beer chug. And then $100 Super Chat gets you a spot in the Emerald Club, our Seahawks Today Hall of Fame. We are about $20 Super Chats right now, so we're about 180 away from Das Boot. Time for burning questions. Week 17 is here, and there's a lot on the minds of Seahawk fans over these final weeks about where this team is at right now and where they go from here. I have 5 burning questions on my mind that I want to address, and I have answers to said burning questions. We'll get to those starting right now here on Seahawks Today. We all good, Trace?
Yep.
Cool. All right, let's get after it. Here we go. Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with 5 burning questions. I'm like Jim Rome. Jim Rome is burning. Tyler Jones is burning with the questions that are on the minds of Seahawk fans as we enter the second to last week of the regular season. We will break that all down coming up in just a moment. Before we do, folks, if you want the Seahawks to make the playoffs, here's what I need you to do. Like the video. Don't jinx it. Make sure to do our part to get the Seahawks in the big dance. Let's not take any chances. Don't maybe come find you because you didn't like today's video. Hit the like button. We'll get started with today's show. Question 1. What is Pete Carroll's future beyond 2023? You know, I look at where the Seahawks are at right now. We mentioned right in the thick of the playoff hunt. 8-7, holding on to that final playoff spot. 2-game winning streak. They've played some good football the last couple of weeks. But if you watch this team closely and see how they're winning games, they're not winning because of Pete Carroll. In fact, quite the opposite. They're winning in spite of their head coach, Pete Carroll. I go back to that game a couple weeks ago against the Philadelphia Eagles, and Pete made some boneheaded decisions when it came to how they managed the clock and timeouts. I mean, they're lucky that they had enough time in that final possession to go get that touchdown score because he did not give that offense any favors with how he mismanaged his timeouts and the clock in that game against Philly. And, you know, there's been questions about how Shane Waldron has handled this offense and Clint Hurt with what he's done with his decision-making when it comes to play calling and the defense here. What's the future for this Seahawks team? I think, honestly, even if they make the postseason here, the game has passed Pete Carroll by. The Seahawks are better off with a fresh start. Maybe Pete takes on a different role and stays within the organization. He's done a lot for this team. You know, we love Pete. He's been awesome. But I think it's time for a change. I really do. And if you're the Seattle Seahawks, how do you handle that with Pete Carroll? What do you do about Pete Carroll, or is he ultimately going to be back? If I had to guess, I still think Pete Carroll's going to be back next year. But I think it's best for Seattle if they find another alternative and start to turn the page on that next chapter, especially if they bring in a new quarterback, which we'll have more on that here in just a second. Let's ask you guys first, our pinned comment today. Should Pete Carroll return to the Seahawks next year? Y for yes, N for no. Weigh in the comments section and tell us if you think Pete Carroll should be back in Seattle or not. Today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the place to go for daily fantasy made easy. Here's how it works. You pick 2 or more players in any given category. Get the choice of more or less, whether you're talking passing yards, fantasy points, receiving yards, and more. And you can mix and match different leagues, NFL, college football, NBA, and more. This week, since we're going to be live, not just for the Seahawks Steelers game, but also the Washington Texas game, I decided to mix and match a little bit. I got Michael Penix of our Washington Huskies having more than 2.5 passing, rushing, or receiving touchdowns. And I got DK Metcalf having more than 58.5 receiving yards. That put him at over 1,000 for the year. If we put $20 down on this, it will turn into $60 on Prize Picks if both of them hit. So play along with us. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Promo code CLNS for a $100 deposit match. Check it out. Link is in the comments and description of today's video. Prize Picks, proud partner of Seahawks Today. Question 2, Jamal Adams. What do the Seahawks do about Jamal Adams and his future? Look, I think we all know deep down inside, with the play that we've seen from Jamal Adams this year, it's time. It is time to turn the page and move on. But it's a messy situation in how you go about this because of how much he counts against the cap. It's not going to be cheap. But what we've seen from Jamal Adams, and the statistics back this up, he's a liability. He's not the same player he was. The Seahawks have played better the last 2 weeks without him on the field. And we know about in coverage how much of a problem he is that he can't cover a nosebleed, right? This Seahawks team, I hate to say it, has to move on. It hurts, especially when you are looking at a Seahawks team that would have to give up that money, pay a player not to play for you. I understand that's not a cheap move, but this would be the necessary move for this Seahawks team. The numbers from PFF this year, I mean, look at it. I mean, he's a one-trick pony. He could pass rush all day, but can't cover, struggles in run defense, struggles overall. He's going to be remembered as in the likes of Clay Bennett and Brian Bosworth and some of those other Seattle sports figures that people don't think too fondly of over the years, right? That's how Jamal Adams is going to go down. That trade was the worst trade we've ever seen in the history of this franchise. It's unfortunate, but that's the reality, and Seattle's got to do something better than Jamal Adams here. Number 3, speaking of future plans, what did the Seahawks do about Geno Smith after this upcoming season? There's too many good quarterbacks for the Seattle Seahawks to pass up on. But that doesn't necessarily mean that there's not a place for Geno on this team next year. Think about this. Geno this year has played good enough for this Seahawks team to be in contention. They're on the verge of making the postseason again, right? Geno's done a decent job this year. 17 touchdowns, 9 picks. He hasn't played as well as he did a season ago, but he hasn't played bad. But I think it's been very obvious that when it comes to Geno Smith, that he's not the long-term solution. He's not the long-term plan. Now, as I've stated many times in this program previously, this is a historically good quarterback class in 2024. Now, we don't know for sure if Shedeur Sanders or Quinn Ewers, if they're going to come out in this draft. But you look at Bo Nix and Michael Penix, Jaden Daniels, J.J. McCarthy. Those guys would likely be available when the Seahawks pick. Caleb Williams and Drake May are expected to be the first 2 quarterbacks off the board. If I'm the Seahawks, in a perfect world, I go ahead and bring Geno back, and I go ahead and draft his replacement, let him sit under him, learn how an NFL offense works, and then go from there. And I think that's the best bet for this Seahawks team is, preparing for your future, but still keeping Geno around to get ready for that next step. So, should the Seahawks bring back Geno next year? HY for hell yes, HN for hell no. Do you like the idea of running it back with Geno Smith? Let us know what you think. Folks, we're talking Seahawks football every day on the channel with daily news and rumors. We do our live shows on Wednesdays, watch parties, Q&A mailbags, and more. And the best part about it, it's free. Doesn't cost you a thing. If you are a diehard Seahawks fan, this is the channel for you. Subscribe now, turn on notifications so you never miss a moment for the latest happenings in your favorite team. We got you covered. Number 4, Tyler Lockett. I love Tyler Lockett. Every Seahawk fan, every one of the 12s loves Tyler Lockett and what he's done for this team over the years. But how much does Tyler Lockett have left to offer? It's been a down year for Tyler Lockett. And if you're the Seattle Seahawks, you have a tough decision to make about his future and have to figure out if he's still worth keeping around. Because you think about it, Tyler Lockett this year, the numbers, he's probably not going to get to 1,000 yards on the year for the first time in a number of years. And JSN played so much better in the second half of this year. DK has had a nice few weeks despite all the personal foul penalties and all that. And the money that you have to spend on other positions, you're not getting any younger on that defense. Is it worth keeping Tyler Lockett around for a price that has him around 2 years, $15 million per of these next couple years left for Tyler Lockett? That's a lot of money that is left owed to Tyler Lockett right now. So is he willing to take a pay cut? Do you extend him and shift that over, some of that to some signing bonus? Or do you try to trade him and get something out of him while you can? That's a tough decision. And I would love, in a perfect world, for Tyler Lockett to be a Seattle Seahawk, to retire with this team. That's the other thing. He's talked about retiring early in his career. How much longer does Tyler Lockett want to play? Those are all questions that need to be figured out. But if you're the Seahawks, I think you need to get in a position here pretty soon. You need an answer. One, Tyler, do you want to be here? And if you do, are you willing to play for less? Because if not, we got to start looking at other options. Last on our 5 burning questions entering week 17 for Seattle. Jordan Brooks. What about an extension for Jordan Brooks? We have seen him in 2023 come back from a torn ACL that only took him 8 months to recover. He lost the green dot, right? With Bobby Wagner coming back, he became the leader of that defense again. But that didn't slow down Jordan Brooks. He is having the best season of his career. And as far as I'm concerned, if I was the decision maker for this Seahawks team, I would say that you got to lock him down and you got to keep him around for this Seahawks team. I know the tackle number is down, but Bobby was a big reason why that number went down. But the sacks, this was a guy in Jordan Brooks that never was known as being much of a sack guy. He's at 4.5 this year. He's been getting after the quarterback. He's been making plays. Jordan Brooks has been fun to watch. I understood why the Seahawks didn't give him that 5th-year option. But you look at his projection, according to Spotrac, somewhere in the range of 4 years, $55 million. I can live with that for Jordan Brooks. And think about Bobby. We don't know about how much longer he's going to go. Devin Bush sure as hell ain't the answer there. Jordan Brooks, I think it's your one long-term bet when it comes to that linebacker position for years to come. So I would give Jordan Brooks a new deal and like to see him stick around in Seattle for a bit. Should the Seahawks sign Jordan Brooks, re-sign him? Let us know what you think. S for sign, P for pass. Would you let him walk in free agency? Let us know what you think in the comments section. If you enjoyed today's show, you want to see this Seahawks team in the postseason, like today's video, we certainly appreciate it. We'll see you next time right here on Seahawks Today. All right. Should Seattle re-sign Jordan Brooks? We will get to our mailbag here in just a second. Hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat to get on the mailbag segment. Chris says sign. WWE fans says sign. Jimmy John says sign. So the consensus seems to be everybody's all on board on getting Jordan Brooks a new contract. Cincinnati Seahawks. Aaron Bermuth also saying the same thing as well. Mailbag coming up in just a second. Trace, this is an easy way to get on the show.
Yeah, see, here's the thing. We have one question right now. We have one singular question. So we're going to need a lot more if you guys want to have this mailbag go down. We want to keep talking and hanging out with y'all, but if we don't have questions, we can't answer them, you know? So,
and here's the deal. You send in a question, you're getting on the show today.
Yeah, pretty much. It's pretty much a guarantee you're getting on the show if you ask a
like
question.
Cincinnati Seahawk, I see you have a question there, but you didn't use hashtag Seahawks. We can't put you on screen unless you use hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat. Same with WWE fan. He wants a shout out. Send me a question. You're getting on the show. We'll put your name, your avatar, whatever message you got. This is your chance to let your voice be heard right here on Seahawks Today. There we go. Cincinnati Seahawks.
Good stuff.
We got you. I still wonder, is that Tom Downey's burner?
Has to be. Has to be.
But Cincinnati
Or is
Seahawks.
it Chris's burner?
Or Chris, yeah. Maybe. So send in those questions. We need some more. Like Mariners fan.
Nice.
He's got the right idea. There's a couple questions in there. Aaron Bermuth has got another in there.
Nice.
Need a few more, and then we'll get this thing started. Also, if you think of more questions as we're going along, feel free to send those as well. If you think of a follow-up question, maybe you got a hot take you want to share, whatever it is, send those our way, and we'll answer them coming up in our mailbag segment. Our final segment of the afternoon before we call it a night here on Seahawks Today. Get your questions in, and we'd be glad to hear from you here on our final segment of the show. Nelson, I see your question. Much appreciated. Think we got enough to get started. And then we'll go from there. So Aaron says TJ rocks. Aaron, you rock, man. Thanks for being here with us. Glad to have you on the live show here. I know I see Aaron about every week on the watch party. Good to see you on our Wednesday live show. Folks, we do this every single Wednesday on the channel. In addition to our daily segments and our watch parties and all that, we bring you this live show every Wednesday as well. So if you got nothing going on Wednesday afternoons, 6 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock out west, then spend your afternoon here on the channel with us for our live shows that we're bringing you here each and every week on Seahawks Today. WWE fans, see you with another question there. WWE fan, I want to know, who is your favorite wrestler? Who is, if you got the name WWE fan, then you got to have a Rolodex of some of your favorites out there. I mean, simple as that. I mean, Trace, I don't know if you're a wrestling guy or not. Any guys? Who comes to mind for you?
So, two people. Growing up, I was a huge John Cena fan. However, my father raised me the right way. And he raised me to always love and appreciate the Stone Cold Stunner, Stone Cold Steve Austin. The coolest guy. I mean, he's the most badass guy to ever walk the planet of the Earth. Jeff Hardy, pretty dope too. He did all those flips. That was dope.
Oh, yeah. Good choices. I love me some Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns is awesome, dude. He is sick. Hot take. Do you know this MJF guy in AEW?
No.
Dude, check him out. Like, just watch any of his promos. Or he did an interview with Part of My Take. He is hilarious, dude. He is like his bit is that he's like this rich asshole that's super good looking, super strong. He's great at wrestling. Like, it's so funny. His thing is awesome. He's a good villain.
Aaron says Stone Cold.
Good answer. Yep. Good answer.
TNG Zach says John Moxley and Roman Reigns.
Good answers too.
Good answers there. So, okay, WWE fan says Randy Orton.
Ooh, the legend killer.
Watch
out, watch out, watch out!
Yes. Very good answers there. All right. We'll get started with Platoon says, why is it always Fireball? Wrong. We're in the Patron zone. It's right here. Well, it's not always Fireball, in fact. We don't have Fireball today. Patron right here. $10 super chat. We're going to the Patron zone. Haven't done that yet. All right. Mailbag time. Hashtag Seahawks or super chat to get on the mailbag. We'll answer all your questions. We'll go about 8 to 10 minutes here, and then we'll finish up final segment next, right here on Seahawks Today. There's an elite member of the 12s, an elite group of sorts. They are the Noti Gang. Those are the folks that are not just subscribed to Seahawks Today, but have their notifications turned on so they never miss a moment what's happening with the Seattle Seahawks as we bring you daily news and rumors, our live shows, Q&A mailbags. If the Seahawks have breaking news, we're the first to talk about it here on the channel. So stop whatever you're doing. Don't just subscribe, but join the Noti Gang. Hit that Noti bell to stay alert on your favorite team. Spam Noti Gang in the chat if you're a member of the Noti Gang. We'll get started with today's show. Smitty, he's on vacation, but his burner has made an appearance. That looks like a graduation photo of some sorts of Smitty there. Ah, I see. Smitty, his burner says, was the Draymond Jones signing a mistake? Will he return next season? Hashtag Seahawks. You know, I would hate to call it a mistake, but kind of looks that way, doesn't it? Draymond Jones has not played up to expectations. He has not lived up to all that moolah, all that money that he was paid this past offseason. And I would think, I know that I've seen some rumblings, people talking about the Seahawks could move on from him, try to cut their losses and get something out of him. But I tend to think that he will be back next year and the Seahawks will give one more go at it. That they'll see, okay, is there something there? Maybe it was just a rough first year or something like that. Maybe it's the scheme, the coaching staff. Maybe you need to make some changes there. To me, I think it's too early to cut your losses already. I do think he's back. I would be surprised if they move on. What do you guys think? Should the Seahawks ultimately move on from Draymond Jones? Y for yes, in for no. Our pinned comment today. Weigh in. Tell us what you think. Take your 610 with a $2 super chat. Bang! Says, WWE, I was at WrestleMania 19 at Safeco Field. Man, those were the days. That was a while ago when that happened. I went to WrestleMania last year at AT&T Stadium in Dallas, and I got to say, I've always been like a casual wrestling guy, never a diehard, but that was one of the most entertaining things I've ever seen, was seeing WrestleMania firsthand. If you've never been, you need to go. Mariners fan writes in, should we have Bobby back next year? Mariners fan, great question when it comes to Bobby Wagner. I'll say this much. Bobby's looked great. He's been one of the best middle linebackers in all of football. He's third in the league in tackles at this point. I don't think the Seahawks are going to be able to get away with giving him $7 million like they did this past offseason. I think that there's going to be other teams that could be willing to pay more than the $7 million that he commanded. So if you're the Seahawks, you got to think, okay, how do we keep Bobby but not pay him over the top too much where we can't afford him? I think he's back, but I think it's another 1, maybe 2-year deal of sorts. I don't think that they're going to give him a long-term contract at this point in his career. Cincinnati Seahawks writes in, should the Seahawks re-sign Noah Fant or draft a rookie tight end or just work with Parkinson and Disley? The Seahawks team, they've underutilized the tight end position. I think it has more to do with coaching than it does the talent itself. I think Noah Fant can be a top 10 tight end in this league when he's given an opportunity, but this Seahawks offense does not give him the opportunity to do so. I mean, think about all these tight ends that we've seen come through this Seahawks team over the years. The likes of Jimmy Graham and Greg Olsen and others, and all of them, literally all of them, were underutilized. That's a system problem. That's not a talent problem. I think you're seeing the same thing with Noah Fant here. I want to see the system change that utilizes the tight ends more. Look at the best teams in football. What do they all have in common? They use their tight ends accordingly. San Fran with George Kittle. Kansas City with Travis Kelce. You're going down the board. Got to have a great tight end if you're going to compete at a high level. I think you could draft a rookie, but still keep Noah Fant both. That's what I would do. Aaron Vermouth, my guy. Good to see you here. Do you think Pete and John draft a quarterback with our first pick in the draft? I would think so. Also depends on what the board plays out at that point, where the Seahawks ultimately end up picking, who is still available. I don't expect Caleb Williams and Drake May to be around when the Seahawks pick, but the Jaden Daniels, the Michael Penix, the Bo Nixes of the world, that company, maybe Quinn Ewers, J.J. McCarthy, somebody will be available when the Seahawks pick. And I would be surprised at this juncture if it is not a quarterback with that first pick. Cincinnati Seahawks writes in, should the Seahawks re-sign Damian Lewis? I think so. I think Damian Lewis does come back. I would be surprised if he's not back with the Seahawks team. I do think they need to invest in the interior of the offensive line. I don't necessarily think Anthony Bradford is the solution that they thought he would be. The rookie out of LSU, he's been terrible when it comes to pass blocking, graded as one of the worst pass blockers in football. So maybe you bring back Damian Lewis, but still try to draft and find younger pieces. That interior of the offensive line needs help. I don't know about Evan Brown either. Evan Brown, I think that the Seahawks would like Oluwatimi to take that spot, the rookie out of Michigan. He's the future, but we'll see. Still a lot to figure out. You have your starting tackles, I think, for the next decade with Abraham Lucas and Charles Cross, but you still have some pieces to figure out the interior. Steve the Ref checking in. Trace's dad. You know, funny story before I answer this question. Trace and I, and you guys know Tracy Trace, our buddy that's here with us from time to time on Seahawks Today, host of Saints Now. He and I, when we mention our dads, we always say that, you know, if they ever just met each other, Steve and Charlie, they'd be best friends. I told my dad this, and now he wants to meet Steve. So now we got to get Steve and Charlie together. But Steve the Ref writes in, will the Seahawks bring Bobby Wagner, bring him back after this year? I think they will. I think Bobby comes back. I'm not sure exactly how it looks. I think it's a 1 or 2 year deal probably. But I think what we saw from Bobby Wagner in 2023 was that he has not missed a step, that he's still a Hall of Fame caliber player, that he still has something left in the tank, is still very important, still is a great leader, wants to be with this Seahawks team. I think Bobby Wagner's hungry to compete. The Seahawks team clearly still needs him. I don't think that should shy away the Seahawks from drafting young linebacker help, because Devin Bush certainly isn't going to be back next year. You're going to need somebody to back up Bobby and Jordan Brooks and those guys. But, yes, I do think Bobby Wagner's back next year. He's too important to the Seahawks team to move on from him elsewhere. A lot of great memories of Bobby Wagner over the years, including this year with what he's done with the Seahawks team. What is your favorite memory of Bobby Wagner in a Seahawks uniform? Weigh in the comment section. Tell me what that is. Folks, I got a great deal that we're offering over at chatsports.com/Seahawks hats. Hats on sale, up to 50% off. Hats and beanies both. It is getting a little colder now. It's time to start thinking about those beanies. And these are just some of the hats. There's plenty more out there at chatsports.com/Seahawks hats that you can look up and see for yourself. Whether you want a flat bill, a beanie, baseball cap, all sorts of different styles to choose from. Rock out with your flock out and check out these great Seahawks hats, whether it's the throwback style, the current logo, whatever it may be. Plenty of selections to choose from. Go to chatsports.com/Seahawks hats to get yours today. Link is in the comments and description of today's video. Chatsports.com/Seahawks hats. Time for a couple more questions before we wrap up today's show. AJS writes, how do you evaluate Devin Bush and Brooks' absence? Bad. That did not go well. Devin Bush, get ready to learn XFL, buddy. Because Devin Bush, he ain't it. I can tell you this right now. He is not that guy. And the Steelers were very glad that he moved on to Seattle. And remember, when the Seahawks brought in Devin Bush, they didn't have Bobby locked down yet. They didn't know if Jordan Brooks was going to be healthy for week 1. He was an emergency situation. And when they've needed him, it has not gone well. I am not a fan of Devin Bush. I don't think most people are. Devin Bush will not be back next year. I can promise you that much. It has not gone well when he's been on the football field. Nelson Gonzalez writes in, should we try to trade for cornerback Jair Alexander? So I don't know if you guys heard about this, but Jair Alexander was recently suspended by the Green Bay Packers for being a part of the coin toss when he wasn't even a captain. And it ended up costing his team a possession, whatever, because he didn't know how the coin toss worked. So he's not the sharpest knife in the drawer. So the answer for me is no. I'm not doing that. I'm not messing with Jair Alexander in that case. No thanks, Nelson. WWE fan writes, should Seattle re-sign Geno Smith? Well, he's not a free agent. Seahawks have a team option on him. I think Geno's coming back next year. I think he comes back, but that shouldn't shy the Seahawks away from finding a younger quarterback to eventually be Geno's replacement. I could see Geno back, but still have that young quarterback both into the fold. We'll see as far as that works. But I do think Geno's going to be back. And I think they should bring him back at least for one more year and go from there. Last question. Mariners fan writes in, what are your thoughts on the four-man front? Our personnel is not great for it. Man, typically, when the Seahawks get gashed in the run game, when the run defense is bad, it's usually that 3-4 defense just getting blasted, just getting exposed. Next year, I want Clint Hurt gone, but that's not going to do it for me. I want to go back to a full-time 4-3 defense in Seattle. I mean, you go back to the glory days of this offense, this defense rather, in the Legion, and when it was at its best. It was at its best when it was the 4-3 defense that got them that Super Bowl. That's what the Seahawks need to do. Go back to that and stop the run that way. Thanks for joining us on the channel. Subscribe now. Turn on notifications. We'll see you next time. Have a great day. All right. There you go. We are just about done with today's show. We'll put a minute on the clock And if you guys send in a super chat of any amount, then we can keep the show going for a bit, talk about whatever you guys want, whatever is on your mind.
I got a flash deal, Tyler.
I'm listening.
If somebody sends in a $50 super chat, I'll do a beer bong. I'll do a full beer bong.
Full beer bong.
Yep. And it'll be done in less than 5 seconds. I can promise you that.
So there's an offer. Folks, a minute on the clock, starting right now. Super chat of any amount, we stay live. $50 super chat. Trizzy is going to do a beer bong. So, I mean, we don't have Trizzy around every day, so this is a great opportunity, folks, to jump on board with this. First-time super chatters get a Seahawks chant. $5 super chat, truth or dare. $10 taking a shot. $20 beer chug. $100 gets you a spot in the Emerald Club. And we're about 180 away from Das Boots. 1 minute on the clock starting right now. Super chatting amount, we stay live. Trizzy, did you have a good holiday, man?
Dude, I had a great holiday. It was a lot of fun. Got to do Christmas night working here. Hung out with you. It was a good time. Always a good time doing game days with you, my friend.
Absolutely.
Yeah, holidays were fun. I hope the 12s had a good holiday as well because they deserve to have a good holiday.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. They got a Christmas Eve win against the Titans.
It's a great day to have a great day when the Seahawks win.
What do you got planned New Year's Eve?
New Year's Eve, right now, plans are still kind of getting ironed out, but we might be going out, have some old high school and some college friends that hit me up, so we might go to Harwood Arms, but there's some chatter. I mentioned it to some of the guys here at the studio as well, and they're like, oh, that actually sounds pretty fun. So if that ends up coming to fruition.
I could be down.
Yeah, say if that ends up coming to fruition, I'll keep you in the loop. But it'll be a good time if that is what we can make happen.
I know some people don't like New Year's Eve. I love New Year's Eve, man.
Yeah. Oh, it's a fun. See, New Year's Eve is what you make it. Like,
yes.
There's always these grand plans. There's always these great ideas everyone has, but it's what you make of it. You can have these crazy. Last year, for example, we had some Chat Sports guys go to a hotel party and they thought it was gonna be a lot of fun. But we went out to the stockyards.
And newsflash,
they didn't. They all said that. Shh, keep this a secret. They all said they wish they came out with us.
Yes. We called them the Statler crew.
Yes, the Statler crew. Just to this day, we still make fun of them for it.
Oh, yes.
I mean, New Year's Eve is about having a good time with the people you enjoy spending time with.
Yeah.
It's not about a bunch of nonsense.
I mean, and, you know, they spent all this money, whatever. The place we went to, no cover, and we got free champagne.
Yeah. I mean, you're telling me we got to go and we got to show up to a bar sober, kind of, and then leave very not sober.
Right.
Barely had to pay anything.
Right.
It's a win. That's the thing with Harwood Arms, too. That's I was looking at it. It's free.
Okay.
You just have to RSVP on the website. So
Perfect.
I was like, oh.
I'm down. Cleaning the dirtiest. I've answered this question a few times today. I'm surprised. I've seen it a lot, actually. Where the hell is Smitty?
I'm right here. I grew a
that's
beard.
Smitty.
I grew a beard. No
Voice
glasses.
got lower.
Yeah, dyed my hair. Changed my name.
Smitty's on vacation with his family, enjoying Christmas holiday. He'll be back for the watch party Sunday, so don't worry about that. But Trizzy did a great job today. Everybody spam Trizzy. Show Trizzy some love.
Thanks, guys.
Trizzy, while you're here with us,
yes.
Plug away where when you are not here, where could people find Trizzy?
So I am on social media. You can follow me on Twitter or Instagram, well, X or Instagram, TraceGerard48. You can also catch my videos on our Saints Now channel. I produce a lot of content here at Chat Sports, but I host our Saints channel here. So that's an easy way to kind of keep up with me. But follow me on Twitter. If you hit me up, I'll follow you back and we can talk football. I just love talking football with football fans, you know?
Trizzy is one of our hardest workers here in the company. Does a great job. Done an incredible job with the Saints channel. That has grown it tremendously, and we appreciate his work helping us make this show happen today. Yeah, Smitty's back on Sunday.
It's hard to build a channel when Derek Carr's your quarterback.
But he's made it happen.
Hey, we're doing it.
There we go. Chat spamming Trizzy.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Cleaning the dirtiest accidentally said Frizzy. Do you ever get that by accident?
I've gotten frisky.
Frisky.
I've gotten frisky before. I'm like,
okay,
cool.
Reminder: we'll be live for Seahawks Steelers on Sunday, and then we'll be live Monday for Washington and Texas in the Sugar Bowl. We will see you then. 2 watch parties this weekend. We'll be kicking the new year in great fashion here on the channel. We'll see you then. Have a great rest of your weekend, everybody. So long.